My name is Jessica Melendez. My student ID number is 3434248. I am in the fall 2019 semester. I'm going to be putting this dog into lateral recumbency to occlude the saphenous vein. Lateral recumbency meaning I'm just going to be placing her onto her side. First, I'm going to approach the dog to the side. I don't want to approach her straight forward because that can be assumed as threatening to most dogs, and I don't want her to feel unsafe in any way. I'm going to put her into standing restraint first, so I'm going to take my arm, place it underneath her head against her chest, my other arm underneath her abdomen. This lets me have a good hold of her head because I don't want to be flailing during the restraints. Once I'm in this position, I'm going to now go into lateral recumbency. So to do so, I'm going to remove my arm from underneath the abdomen area. I'm going to grab onto the patient's head, and I'm going to, and if she sits, that's fine. Once I have the patient's head, I'm going to take my other arm over the body to grab onto the leg closest to my body. Then I'll remove the hand holding the head and grab the other leg closest to my body. Once I'm in this position, I'll tuck her into my body and do a gentle roll to the side. Now that she is in lateral recumbency, I'm going to occlude the saphenous vein. So the saphenous vein is located on the hind leg in the dorsal plane. It is right around, oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Okay, you're good, you're good, you're good. It's right here, so in lateral, so it's off to the side. So now that I need to occlude it, I'm gonna lift my hand from the down leg. I'm going to hold the leg that's going to be poked with the needle, and behind the knee so I can have full control of the leg, and if she pulls back, I have control. And I'm gonna slightly apply pressure to occlude the vein, and that is restricting blood flow in that area. So once the vein puncture is over, I'll put my finger in the area that was punctured. I'll grab onto her down leg again so I have control. And then I'm gonna allow her to slowly rise up, and that is putting her into lateral recumbency to occlude the saphenous vein. I'm going to be putting this dog into sternal recumbency to occlude the cephalic vein. Sternal recumbency is placing her on her sternum, laying down. And to do so, first, I'm going to approach her onto her side. I don't want to approach her head first because that can be threatening, and I want her to feel safe during restraint. And I'm going to put her into a standing restraint, so I'm going to have my arm underneath her head and against her chest so I can have full control of the head the whole time so it's not flailing. And then I'm going to take my other arm and hold it underneath her belly. And once I'm in this position, I can go to step 2, which is getting her to sit. So to get her to sit, if she doesn't do it on her own, I can remove my arm from underneath the belly, and I'm going to go near the back end of her, use my elbow, my arm. I'm going to gently lift her and get her to sit down. Once she's in the sitting position, I'm going to slowly take my arm and grab her onto the front, and I'm going to take her 2 front legs behind the elbow and bring her down. This is sternal recumbency. So to occlude the cephalic vein is located on the front legs. It's in the dorsal plane, and it's medial, so it's not off to the side, it's in the middle. To occlude, it's right here. To occlude, I need to go behind a patient's elbow to extend the leg. This is so that I have control of the leg the entire time, so that if she tries to pull back, she can't. And I'm going to take my thumb, and I'm going to roll behind the elbow. I'm going to roll the skin, and what I'm doing there is I'm occluding the cephalic vein. I'm restricting blood flow from that area so that the vein pops out more for the vein puncture. Once the vein puncture is over, I'll take my thumb and I'll hold the area that was punctured until a clot is formed. Once that clot is formed, I'm going to allow her to safely rise up, and I'm going to put her back into a standing restraint. So I'm just going to still keep control of that head. We don't want it flailing, so we're going to have control of the head the whole time. We're going to put our hand underneath her and allow her to rise up. That is putting her into sternal recumbency to occlude the cephalic vein. I'm going to be putting this cat into lateral recumbency to occlude the medial saphenous vein. Lateral recumbency meaning I'm just going to be placing him onto his side, lying down. First, to ensure his safety as well as mine, my hands are going to stay on the patient the entire time. I don't want him jumping off or running, and so my hands are going to stay on him the entire time. So to first start off, when I am going to put him into lateral recumbency, I'm going to push him away from me. The side that I'm putting him on is going to be the same side the same hand I'm using to scruff him. So if I'm using my right hand to scruff him, that means I'm going to be putting him on his right side. So now that the patient is facing away from me, I'm going to get a good scruff. I'm going to take my back hands. I'm going to take his both back legs, one finger in between the legs, scoop him up and onto the side. Now that he's in lateral recumbency, I'm going to stretch him forward. The assistant will then go and extend the down leg. This is where the saphenous vein is located. The saphenous vein is located in the inner portion of the thigh, in the back hind leg, medial. To occlude it, I'm going to be taking my hand and I'm going to be pushing the leg that I'm holding as well as his tail to the patient's body while the leg is being extended. I am now going to take my hand and apply pressure by pushing down on the down leg. This is occluding the vein. Once the vein is occluded, I will, once the vein puncture is over, I am going to take my hand and hold the portion that was punctured until a clot is formed. Once that clot is formed, I'm going to release the legs and then grab on to the patient's abdomen, hold the patient to my body away from my face, and that is how you put a cat into lateral recumbency to occlude the medial saphenous vein. I am going to be putting this cat into sternal recumbency to occlude the cephalic vein. Sternal recumbency meaning the patient is laying on his sternum. First, to ensure his safety as well as mine, my hands won't come off the patient. One hand is on the near the head and one hand is holding the body. I don't want the patient to run off the table or the cat to jump or feel unsafe during the restraint. So to occlude the cephalic vein, the first thing we have to do is put him into sternal recumbency, which he's already in because he's on his belly right now. If he was standing up and I needed to put him into sternal recumbency, I can always just shimmy him down. To get it to the cephalic vein, I'm going to push the patient forward off the table, just the front legs. My arm is going to be holding on to the patient's back end close to my body. My hand has a hold of the head where I'm holding the scruff and I'm pulling the head back. My other hand is holding behind the elbows, extending the leg. To occlude the cephalic vein, which is located on the front legs medial on the dorsal plane, so right in this area right here, my hand is going to go behind the elbow. I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to roll the leg. By doing the roll, I am occluding the cephalic vein. And to occlude, I'm just restricting the blood flow to that vein so it's popping out during the vein puncture. My hand is holding the patient's head the whole time. My arm is tucking the patient into my body so I have control of the cat. And then my other hand is occluding the vein. Once the vein puncture is over, I will hold the spot that was vein punctured until blood clot is formed. And once that clot is formed, I'm going to let go of the patient's arm, still holding on to the head. And I'm going to scoop underneath the belly. And I'm going to hold the patient away from my body and in between my arm and my body. And that is how you put a patient into sternal recumbency to occlude the cephalic